In my spiritual journey in the last couple of years, I've realized that one thing I feel like I don't stress enough, and often I neglect and can lead me to sort of minor sins, venial sins, is the attitude that I hold towards others. So I feel like a lot of time, improving your spiritual life, yada yada, is all centered around how you view yourself. A positive mindset, viewing yourself as disciplined, like positive identity, like I'm a soldier for Christ, stuff like that. And that's all very important, but in myself at least, a lot of the times I slip up throughout the day are in terms of my attitude towards others. So in this video, I want to talk about the proper attitude we should hold towards others in regard to advice. So we'll start with a little painting a picture. Let's say that you are in your dining hall with friends or out to dinner with friends. Sit down, you haven't seen these guys in a long time, you're excited, and you order off the menu fried calamari for an appetizer, and your friend doesn't know. He's on the other side of the table. The fried calamari comes as your appetizer. He gets a salad, and you're about to dig into your calamari. You're so excited, you're like, I know you may know that it's not the best for you, but whatever. You're like, let me get the calamari, and then right as you dig in, bringing that fork down, your friend makes this sly comment. He's like, hey bro, don't you know fried food's bad for you? Why are you poisoning yourself? I just don't like thinking about that either. You didn't ask. You kind of know it's wrong too. But it's fried calamari. It's not gonna kill you. It's okay to have an indulgence like that. Obviously, if it was a grander scale, like you're injecting heroin and your friend's like, hey bro, that's not the best for you. Different story. This is a more small example of just kind of having that just annoyance with someone else when they're nitpicking over a small detail for advice that you didn't ask. So keep that feeling with you for the rest of what I'm talking about. So as we improve in our lives in many different ways, physical, cognitive, spiritual, whatever, we start to develop our own view of what's right and wrong, or a revamped view of what's right or wrong. In the past, spiritually young, you might say to yourself, hey, gossip's not that bad or whatever, or we're just having a fun time. We're just making jokes, right? It doesn't really matter. Or, you're not really caring about your physical health. You might be, sleeping in every day, or waking up at random times, eating junk food all the time. Cognitively, maybe for your studies, you don't really realize that it's that bad to be constantly on your phone for studying. And then eventually you read a book, you hear some comment, or you learn this information telling you that, hey, maybe you shouldn't be texting while trying to study or trying to read, and how that actually distracts you. And then what sort of happens is this new standard, this new sense of right and wrong in this domain creates a disconnect between you and others. So the example I'll use is walking through the library at my college, right? I'm very specific. I have a spot. I'm there to do work. I'm going to sit down for an hour to 2 hours, normally an hour and a half, and I'm going to focus. And I'm not going to look at my phone, because that is what I think is the right way to study. Research, back it up, whatever. It's what I see as the good way to study. And I walk through the library, and I just see all these people on their phones texting while they're studying. And, one, I'm paying attention to people doing something that doesn't involve me, right? But I'm also getting kind of annoyed. I'm they don't get it. They don't get that they're, distracting themselves and they're on their phone. And something inside of me wants to go over to them and be like, hey bro, you're doing it wrong. You're not supposed to do that. This is the optimal way to do it. You shouldn't be on your phone. And I sort of get that tugging feeling inside of me. So the first point I want to make is, in a general situation like this, walking through the library with strangers on their phones, you shouldn't be worrying about them. Now, should we be worrying about strangers? Should we care for a neighbor? Yes. If you walk through a street and there's a homeless person and they have asking for money and you have $5 in your pocket, that is different. In this case, you're walking through the library, people's names you don't know. There's no need to interact with them. They're not going to change if you say something to them. You're not going to do that in the first place. But I think an attitude towards the general populace of others in this sense is don't concern yourself with them. You're not really going to have an interaction, and worrying about that is just going to sort of bring you down. Now, the other example is more specific. It's your friend. You're studying next to your friend, and you're locked in, but you just see them study for like an hour and a half, and they're on their phone for 30 minutes of it, and then they say they didn't get any work done. Or actually, I take that last part back. They don't say anything. They say they don't mention anything about their work. That wouldn't make sense. Side point. But you're both studying. You realize that they're on their phone the whole time, and then you're at dinner. And you have this like nagging thing, and you're like, oh, like I just want to tell them like, hey, like you're doing this wrong. This is the way to do it. I'm right. You got to change this. When they didn't ask for that. So the first thing I want to say is, when you have that new sense of what is right, it's a standard that you're holding yourself to. It's a standard to not text while you're studying. Your friend doesn't care for your standard. They're your friend, sure, great, but they didn't ask for your standard. They don't know what it is unless you tell them, and they don't understand how you arrived to your standard. Maybe you spent years throughout your life studying in a terrible way, and then you were just like researching, more productive, yada yada. You came across a great book, Deep Work by Cal Newport, on this. You came across this book, it helped you study, and now it feels so much better. But your friend doesn't know that. They just see you saying like, hey dude, like this is the wrong way to study, got to do this. They don't know your whole history, and they don't know how you arrived to your standard. But more globally, and more importantly, they didn't ask for your standard. So why are you expecting them to follow it? That's kind of the question there. So I sort of realized that with this, even when we kind of mess up and we have that urge to give someone advice about the right way to do something, it doesn't change them. Advice doesn't stick to those who don't ask for it. That's just sort of the hard truth. Like, it's annoying, first of all, but like imagine the times you've heard someone say something unwarranted that you didn't ask for. It's not really going to lead to a long-lasting change. As further evidence for this, when people are asking for advice, they sort of tailor who they're asking to for what they want to hear. So it's kind of like they've already made a decision. Like if you're asking, hey, like, should I cut down my drinking? You don't really want to cut down your drinking, but you go to your friend who goes out all the time. You're like, hey, bro, like, am I doing too much? He's like, nah. I'm like, you're good, bro. You're good. Like, you kind of knew he was going to say that. Maybe you're kind of going to him because you already had the idea in your mind. But advice just doesn't stick. It's not asked for, so don't be giving out advice. The last sort of point here, a point of humility, is some water. You are so wise, so perfect, so mighty. You set the standard for yourself that you hold it all the time, right? Like, I think I just spat a bit. Sorry about that. You hold it all the time, right? You're not on your phone when you're studying. You're not, sitting at all. No, you're fallible. You're terribly fallible. And you don't hold yourself to your own standard a lot of the time. So how can you expect others to hold to a standard that they didn't ask for, and frankly, they might probably don't care about? There's a quote I just wanted to read where I got one of this idea too, from a book, The Imitation of Christ. It's a great book. It goes, "You are brave enough when you meet no opposition. You can give good advice and encouragement to others, but when trouble knocks unexpectedly at your own door, your strength and your judgment fail you. Remember the great weakness you often experience in small troubles, yet these things happen for your own good." As we see here again, you can't hold your standard all the time, so stop trying to put it on others. Your best option is to live by example, by glorifying God the best you can in every activity, in every manner, in every day, to give glory to God. And when people ask about your success in a specific domain and are shocked by the light that you show, you lead them down the right path. You lead them with the advice when they ask for it, but more importantly, when they ask how you're so good at studying, that's when you can give them advice. But you lead them down the right path, the path to Christ, lovingly and gently. We should be strict with ourselves, with the standards we hold for ourselves, but tolerant for others, especially strangers and people we don't know that well, and friends. I feel like this would be more different in like a romantic relationship where you're strict on like not cheating, but tolerant with, that's a whole different story. But strict with ourselves, tolerant with others, and we'll end with Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, judge not, lest ye be judged. God bless.